is an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering The Dark Tower, Book 5, Wolves of the Calla, Prologue, and Chapter 1. In these chapters, the wolves aren't wolves at all. They're people. Kind of? We'll have to wait and see. Welcome to Unspoiled. Yeah, guys.
It feels so good.
Miles is a husband now.
I am.
Right?
I'm a married
so
man.
Weird.
Yeah.
Do you feel different? Do you feel like now you need to just crack beers and sit on the couch always?
No, not really.
Do you joke about the old ball and chain? Do you say, oh, that door is open all the time, like my wife's mouth? Is that stuff that you've started saying in the past week or so?
No, not so much. I'm eternally grateful to have found my wife, and would never ever make any kind of moves to fuck up something that, you know, part of my brain views as tenuous by the laws of probability. But no, it's different. I know, not really. We were pretty committed beforehand, but it is weird. Like, you know, it's like after we got married, like we kept saying fiance for a while. Like, oh, I'm gonna go see my fiance. Damn it.
Nah. Nope.
My wife. And you know, there's other things too, like, you know, the ring. You know, like I got a ring. So I usually my style, if you want to call it that, I have no style, but what I would do is wear my watch on my right wrist, which is not, I guess I wasn't supposed to do. It's supposed to be on my left wrist, but I was wearing it on my right wrist.
Oh, I know that's a thing, and I always feel like it's complete horseshit. Yeah, wear it on your right. Do it. So
I wore it on my right, and then I had this bracelet that I always wear on my left wrist. But then the ring is on my left hand, and so, like, I felt I did it for a couple of days, and I just felt really, like, unbalanced. Like the bling needed to be redistributed. So now I had to switch the wrist of the bracelet. I had to go with a more traditional wrist for the watch, and then the bracelet is on the right. Because now it's like I have a ring on one hand, a bracelet on the other wrist, and then a necklace that I wear. So it's like, you know, that's it.
Oh my god!
It's that kind of shit, you know.
I don't understand the left. Why is that supposed to be the way it is? Whatever, it's fine.
I don't know.
It's stupid.
I think it's, yeah. I mean, there are reasons for it, but whatever. Yeah, no, but it's great. It's great. My wedding was great. My honeymoon was great. But it is good to be back. Good to be back talking about this fucking book, and I am gonna have such a hard time keeping my mouth shut in this one. I'm gonna do it, but it's gonna be hard.
Have you started the next one?
So I actually, I have already finished Song of Susanna.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, dude, I tore through that book because I loved Song of Susanna. I loved it. I read it in like a week.
Damn. All right.
So yeah, it took me months to get through this one, which I'm not saying this one is bad, but I could not stop reading Song of Susanna. So I'm already finished with that. I have not yet started the seventh and final book. I've been told by a couple of people in our Dark Tower spoiler chat, whatever, that I mean, it's not the official Dark Tower spoiler chat. It's the Dark Tower spoiler with Miles chat, which means you have to wait until I get there.
Right. True.
But I was told by some people in that chat that there was at least one more book of Stephen King's that I should read before moving on to the final book, which is called The Dark Tower. And that book is Hearts in Atlantis, which they made a movie out of that I never saw. But I actually managed to find a copy of Hearts in Atlantis at a used bookstore in Eureka, California on my honeymoon, so I am now reading that.
Aww.
And once I'm done reading that, I will jump into the seventh and final book. So that's my status. So I've read 6 of these books.
So
you are approaching this from a new perspective.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm reading any of these books, and I am the one that does not know what the fuck is going on. That's how Unspoiled goes. One of us knows what the fuck is going on. The other does not know what the fuck is going on. So,
I believe that's the official tagline.
Yeah, no, Chris came up with a really good tagline, really, for like the business card that says, experience your favorites for the first time again.
Oh, I like that.
Which I really love.
That's really good.
I will just go with, what the fuck's going on? So, because that suits my personality. I'm not clever. So yeah, welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Natasha.
I'm Miles.
I
have a wife.
I'm Miles, the husband.
That's going to be my new radio name now, Miles the husband.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's... I'm thinking now, like, if you just say Miles the husband, everybody's going to think you're my husband? Like you're the show husband? You know what I mean?
No.
But no,
yeah,
that is not...
Bad idea. That's a bad idea. Okay, we'll have to come up with something else. I'll work on this.
A husband. Miles, a husband. There you go.
A husband.
And yeah, this he went on his honeymoon after getting married, took a long break, and then we come back to start fresh with a brand new book. So pretty good timing, actually,
with me, guys.
But I mean, it couldn't have been better timing to finish that
No,
book,
I know,
right? You know,
yeah,
like I love when it works out like that. It's great. I was doing the math the other day because I've been trying to like get my schedule a little bit more under control and figure out what I can afford to cut or like fall back on a little. And I was calculating how much time I have left to finish Twin Peaks. And we will only, like, by the time we go on our trip to Orlando, we will have 1 episode left, and it's killing me. I'm like, can't we just finish before a trip and then just be done?
You gotta find some way to make that happen. Like, do a bonus episode or something.
I'm like thinking I might ask her, like, can we just double up this week and just get it done?
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, that'd be one hell of a cliffhanger.
I'm just really interested to start listening to or start watching the parts of Twin Peaks that everybody else is watching also, because it is kind of banana pants that I'm watching a show that is so old and yet there are people talking about it fresh on Facebook right now. Like,
I
bringing
still
that show back, it's bananas to me.
I have had to just keep clear of all spoilers for that show because I still have never seen it. And I love David Lynch.
Okay,
and I've never seen Twin Peaks, so it's like, again, it's on my ever expanding list of things to watch.
Really interested to hear what you have to say about it because I have been having a hard time through the second season, and I hear that that's pretty much par. Most people have a hard time through the second season.
Okay, all right.
So, because David Lynch was not involved as much with that part of the show, so it's other like directors trying to ape him a little.
Yeah, that's not going to work out for you.
Yeah, because
aping David Lynch is not a thing you can really do.
That sounds like a really good like movie, like being John Malkovich, aping David Lynch.
Aping David Lynch.
Yeah, I like it.
And failing.
And failing that's colon. Aping David Lynch, colon. And failing.
Oh man, dude. So I know that we have talked like at some unspecified point in the future about going back to Black Mirror.
Yes,
but I do want to say so do I. But I do want to say I finally saw an episode from the new season.
Oh shit! Okay.
While I was on vacation because I was staying with my friends Dan and Kit. Sharon and I were staying with them on our way back to town in Los Angeles, and they're part of the Smash Fiction podcast, if you listen to that. And they were like, they asked me if I had seen any of the new stuff, and I said no, and they were like, all right, you have to watch this one episode. So there's an episode of Black Mirror called San Junipero that we watched, and it is fucking amazing, and you would love it.
Oh, brother.
And I'm not saying like we can't do it now, we probably can't even do it in the near future. but that episode made me really want to watch the rest of the season.
Yeah,
So.
like this is because I did a video on the patrons group recently, and I'm going to be, those of you who don't know, I did a promotion recently where if you sign up for the Unspoiled newsletter, you will get a link to download the free 2-hour Wonder Woman episode that I recorded with Maggie and Owen.
Did you like it?
I really did. I liked it much better
Yeah.
the second time. The first time, the villain rang a little goofy for me. It might have been some facial hair issues that were happening that I wasn't a big fan of.
I mean, it was a goofy thing.
It was... All right, I'm cutting it out. I paused it real quick so that I know where I can cut it.
All right,
yeah,
sorry.
Miles just shamelessly spoiled who the villain is. In
Sorry.
But yeah, the person who it is, I thought would have been cool if they had just, shape-shifted and not looked like that the whole time. But they did.
I know exactly what you mean.
So that was an odd choice.
That
And
was
I
one of the
may
things I
harp
loved
on that
about
a
it.
tiny bit in the episode, but it's fine. But yeah,
Anyway,
I did this thing to promote the newsletter, and I haven't actually written a newsletter yet, but the first thing that's probably going to go out is an announcement about cutting back on some shows because so as many of you know, I struggle with money. I'm trying to, make this my full-time thing, and I'm doing way better than most shows in terms of, patron donations and everything. But living is expensive, and as generous and awesome as everybody is, I still have trouble. So I was thinking, why don't I get a part-time job at this dry cleaner that's like 2 blocks from me and save up money for the trip to Orlando and try and just kind of cram for a little bit. And so I was like, well, let's see where I can fit that in. And I sat down and I figured out exactly how much time everything takes for me to do. And I tried to be as honest as I could. Like, yes, I know I would love to say editing takes an hour. How long does it really take, Natasha? And I was very honest about it. And I tried to outline my ideal day, getting everything done. Recording and reading and editing, self-care, simple things like showering and doing my makeup, cleaning the house for just an hour, taking time to make dinner. It turns out I would need 20 hours a day on average to get done everything that I expect myself to get done.
Without the part-time job.
Yeah. The job wasn't even factored into it. And I did this whole thing and then afterwards realized that I hadn't factored in my writing. So
that's rough.
It was one of those moments where I'm going, I can't believe this. And Owen's going, fucking duh. I've been telling you, you do too much. I've been saying this. And I'm like, I know, shut up, God. I just, it's one thing for people to tell you you do too much, but when you keep convincing yourself that you are the one, like I kept telling myself I was at fault for not getting it done because I wasn't managing my time well.
Or you're lazy or whatever.
Yeah, or just getting caught up in
you.
things that aren't really necessary. It wasn't until I saw it in actual hard data that I was like, no, this is straight up impossible. No wonder every single day I look at my planner and feel kind of bad because there are 3 things on there on my to-do list that I didn't get done. Of course there are 3 things on my to-do list that didn't get done. Why is my to-do list that long? Because I think that I can get that thing done in 15 minutes. But I can't. I'm lying. So, Mariana Herrera, who has been my number 1 highest pledged patron, her pledge has been covering me and Rashawn doing Sherlock. And just a couple days ago, she messaged me and was like, hey, I'm going to have to drop my pledge. I'm so sorry. I'm like, oh my God, it's okay. You've been enormously generous. And also kind of thank you because that cuts a big recording out per month. I'm going to be getting done with His Dark Materials. And instead of starting to do Orphan Black every week, I'm going to stick with Orphan Black being bi-weekly. After I'm done with Justified, I am not going to be recording anything on Thursday nights for a while, for several months, and just letting that lay fallow for a bit. And once I'm done with Legion, I'm not going to be filling in that spot with anything either. So there are a couple slots that I'm just going to let be empty. Because I have this compulsion where something ends and I feel like I have to start something else. And especially like what you're saying with Black Mirror, or I want to do Dollhouse. Like there's a lot that I just want to cover. It's not me feeling like pressure. It's just that I want to. But I've reached a point where I have created a lot of content, and now I need to learn to manage it. And that's something that I've been letting slide a little.
Yeah, and by all means, be the person who stops me from taking on any more podcast projects, because just like she can't leave me anymore, guys. She's gonna have to physically injure me now. Like this is how this works.
Yeah, it's when I told Alan, I was like, "Would you be okay with us just taking a long break after Justified's over?" And he kind of laughed and he was like, "Yeah,
yes."
I was like, all right, cool.
I had to say to Sharon, when I got your message about, kind of working out the time for Game of Thrones and that comes back, I was with Sharon. I was like, all right, so I'm just going to prepare you now.
Right.
Let's just get this right out in the open. Going to be doing another one for just a few weeks.
That's the good thing is it's going to be only 7 episodes this season.
Oh, God, is it really? That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yes. That's amazing.
That will help a lot because I made this whole schedule for myself and was getting things figured out. And I think I was like on camera when somebody was like, oh, and Game of Thrones is coming back. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like I had the thing all planned out that after Penny Dreadful was over, I would start Leftovers. And then I'm like, I have to fit fucking Game of Thrones in here somewhere. So I'm putting Leftovers. I'm delaying that until after Game of Thrones is over, when my impulse is to just fit Game of Thrones in with Leftovers. No, Natasha, holy shit, calm down. Everybody can wait for Leftovers. It's fine. So yeah, and I'm looking at some of my weekly shows, dropping them to every other week. So maybe, Miles, we can look at doing that for this show while Game of Thrones is happening.
I would be totally fine with that if that's what you want to do.
That might be a good idea. That way we don't get too burnt out, and I'm sure our listeners will understand. Game of Thrones is coverage that's for patrons only, so if you're not a patron, you may resent our dropping it to every other week, but it's only temporary. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I have so much. The wedding is over, but that took so much time and effort, and I just have. I would be really. Not that I don't love doing this every week, because I do, but I would be really okay with that. I mean, the one or two of you, maybe, if I'm lucky, who have ever gone to my sci-fi blog and visit it regularly, know that I haven't written anything on there in forever, because I haven't had time. So, yeah, I got a lot of shit that I need to do, and I'm so that's totally fine. If that's what you want to do.
And you're going to be moving, too, so you have that whole thing ahead of you.
Dude, I'm moving. I'm looking for a new job. I'm doing another fucking podcast, which I think... Did I announce that last week? No, I don't think I did.
You weren't here last week.
That's
you were
right.
away.
I can't remember if I announced it last episode that we did or not.
Was it not a wrestling one? What was it?
No, it was the Odyssey Storytelling podcast.
I don't think so.
Okay, well...
Do you want to go ahead?
No, we'll do it at the end. But yeah, that's happening now, and just a bunch of shit going down. So that's totally fine.
So yeah, I just want y'all to understand what's going on with that. Like I said, I have been really, my goal in the past few years has been to establish myself as somebody who is consistent, who puts out a lot of content, and who doesn't just pod fade. It's been 5 years. I have been here. I have proven that. Now I think
you have.
it's time to focus on marketing, on managing, on just, making the most of what I have built so far. So that's going to be what I try and do. Fingers crossed that I, succeed. And I feel like there was another thing that I wanted to announce, but I don't remember what it was, so I'm going to let that go. Okay, so let's just start talking about this chapter here, this prologue. Let's get it going.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
So we start off here with a group of people that we had never met before. And What is the name of this like area that they live in?
Calla Bryn Sturgis.
Bryn Sturgis, okay. But they just call it the Calla most of the time.
Yeah, they call it the Calla.
And
it's like when people like living in, New York just call it the city,
Right, yeah. And there's a lot of slow unfolding here of what's happening. Because we start off with a character whose name is Tian, and he has a sister named Tia.
Right.
And she's called Runt.
She's Runt.
I'm assuming is like basically ruined, but slurred.
Yeah.
And it sounds like at first like she was born this way, but then there's a little bit of a mental, a thought about how she used to be really smart and quick, and then the thing happened to her.
Yeah.
And you slowly find out that everybody has mostly twins in this community.
Yep.
And he's out there trying to make something grow from this plot of land that never grows anything but devilweed. And this fucking Tin Man, comes up to him with some news about the wolves headed their way within the next month.
Yes, this is Andy, the messenger robot.
Yes.
Who is, of course, a product of North Central Positronics.
I really, when I picture Andy, picture the picture Helper from
from
Venture Brothers. Yeah, that's exactly what I picture. And yeah, he is like the one robot that still works, evidently. And he has legs and like walks around, which for some reason makes it so much creepier to me.
Yeah.
He says the robot looked like a young child stick figure of an adult, impossibly tall and impossibly thin. His legs and arms were silvery. His head was a stainless steel barrel with electric eyes. His body, no more than a cylinder, was gold. Stamped in the middle, what would have been a man's chest, was this legend: North Central Positronics Limited, in association with Lamerck Industries, presents Andy. Design, messenger, many other functions, serial number, etc. Why or how this silly thing had survived when all of the rest of the robots were gone for generations, Tian neither knew nor cared. You were apt to see him anywhere in the Calla. He would not venture beyond its borders, striding on his impossibly thin silver legs, looking everywhere, occasionally clicking to himself as he stored, or perhaps purged, who knew, information. I don't know why, but a robot rolling? That's fine. A walking robot, we start to go into that uncanny valley where I'm
especially
not
like
with it.
It's not like, a fucking walker like in Star Wars. Mm-hmm. It's all clunky and kind of like this guy, get the impression that if he's not like, maybe not graceful, at least, he's very thin. Mm-hmm. And just kind of like definitely doesn't have those huge like legs,
Yeah. Yeah, so this guy comes and for some reason knows that they're going to be there in a month, and nobody's really sure where he gets his information and how he knows that soon.
Right.
But he does. And basically Tian is like, well, I guess I'm going to call it a fucking day, and goes home with his sister, who is dunking her head in the rain barrel.
Yeah, so some of the details of this are fun. He's got 3 fields. Right, his family, the Jafford's family, has 3 fields, and the one he's currently working on is called, because there's River Field, there's Roadside Field, and then there's Son of a Bitch. Mm-hmm. And there's like this weird craziness in the family where every one of them thinks something's gotta fucking grow there. Yeah, it's like the worst field ever.
I love this little detail because that this is like, this just feels so real,
Yeah, and he can't take a mule out there because he can't risk a mule, and it's not going to work anyway. So he yokes up his sister, who is huge and strong and completely stupid. Mm-hmm. Just like, just like really just not there at all mentally.
Yeah, she's not even in the place that like what's his name, Shimi. Like Shimi had his own kind of intelligence, and
right.
was very specifically smart about surprising things. She does not have that even. She's much more like portrayed as being much more animal-like.
Yeah. And this is also, you know, as we find out, you know, in terms of what the wolves and everything, like this doesn't seem like a natural thing. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, this is something that's been done to her.
Yeah.
So
yeah, when he goes home, he has this look on his face, and his wife immediately like knows what it is, and they like this is when you start to realize, oh, they take one of the twins, because she says that Aaron is a single-born child, and so he's
a
safe.
singleton. Yeah.
It's just such a strange thing that they particularly go after twins, like, and it's not clear whether or not that is meant to be a balm. If the wolves choose only twins in order to keep them placated and grateful enough to not do anything,
right?
Or if it's
which if that's the plan, it's working.
Apparently,
right? I mean, because when they call the meeting later, a lot of the argument is like, "Hey, look, you know, they always leave the one.
Yep.
You know, if we start any shit, they'll just come take all of them.
Yep.
So yeah, and it's also weird in just general that this is a town where not being a twin is odd.
Yeah, that's such an interesting, like, you know, and it comes up later that somebody's trying to argue, well, this isn't, you know, we'll just have to take what we can get. And he's like, yeah, from the guy who has 2 singleton children, and everybody's like,
exactly.
Yes. So yeah, he says that he thinks they maybe should fight back, and Zalia.
I said Zalia in my head.
Zalia is just like, fight back how? They will literally burn our... She says they'll fry our eyes in our heads, which I'm like, how? What? I don't like that. And he's basically like, yeah, maybe they will, but what are we going to do? Just like fucking lay down and let them keep doing this? And he calls basically a town hall meeting.
Essentially, yeah. He passes around the feather.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that, like, that Andy, the robot, came to him, and he's the one who tells everybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm honestly not entirely sure why Andy chose Tien to tell about this. Maybe he was just the first one he saw, you know, after he found out. But yeah, they pass around the feather, and everybody comes and to the town hall meeting to talk about this. And I think so. We are in a new place now, once again, very similar to Magius, where there's a very specific dialect being spoken, mm-hmm. which I find really interesting. Mm-hmm. And I'll have a lot more to say about that later on. But I like the way they talk to each other. It's got a very kind of like, you know, weird rustic poetry to it.
Okay.
You know, like, you know, hear him very well, do ya, I beg, you know, that kind of shit. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I do definitely dig it, and I kind of dig this style of town hall meeting they've got going on. Yeah,
it's it feels very like well organized, honestly. Like, it's a simple thing, but I think that Tien is smart too, because he presents this problem. And he knows very well that he needs to sit back and let that shit unfold in the mm-hmm. conversation, because he can't jump in and be like, this is what we have to do. They need not only to come up with this solution themselves, but they need to go down every possible eventuality and hash out why other options won't work before they can be cornered into something that's basically a suicide mission. Mm-hmm. So this like, okay, so
we should probably go ahead.
Quick aside. I this past weekend did the book club for Dune. And it was, I'm not a fan of the book. I I got really frustrated with it. It was extremely difficult pushing myself to finish it, and it made me angry. And there is a character named Paul who every time he thinks about fucking anything at all, they're like, do you want cheese on your sandwich? Oh, no. And all of a sudden the fucking camera pulls back and you see 16 different potential futures unfolding before him, depending on if he chooses salami or fucking roast beef. And we have to hear about each potential future for a second and be reminded that he can see all of the like possible consequences every time.
You talking about Paul Atreides here?
Yeah.
Talking about my man Paul Atreides?
Paul is a fucking douche. I hate that guy. He's a fucking dickhead.
Oh, God. For full disclosure, I tried to read Dune when I was much younger and just could not get through it. And I'm looking forward to having to go back and reading it again for the Hugo Award project, because that shit won a Hugo Award.
Like, I understand why people like it. It's a very particular type of really detailed fantasy that I totally get how some people are into this sort of thing. But for me, there is no character stuff in there. It's all based on people's abilities and the facts of that universe. And there's none of the character-driven psychological aspect that is what I read for. Like, that is what I want. And they have, the main two characters have none of that. There's one character that does, that I got into, and then he died in like the first third of the book. And I was like, awesome. So this kind of reminded me of that, where, you know, it's like Paul is sitting back and like, oh, well, let's see where this takes us, except it's fucking practical. And I need to hear about all of these other options, because these are not only explaining why Tien feels as desperate as he does to do what he is saying they should do, but they also give insight into how this community operates and what about where they live and how they live keeps them from being able to pursue any other option. Because basically what it comes down to is none of them is willing to leave this place permanently. They are all like, we can leave for a little while, but they'll burn our farms to the ground and probably like salt our fields, basically. And what will we have to come back to? Which I thought was interesting, because, you know, just fucking then leave forever. But that's not really even on the table. And most of them seem to think even if they tried to run, they'd get pursued and caught anyway, which apparently they are not wrong, because they're really bad at this, as we see later. So, you know, what are you going to do? So, yeah, I really liked the way that he handled this whole thing. Yeah.
No, it's great. And we get introduced to a number of characters during this meeting. I mean, first of all, we should say that, you know, the reason that Tien is so kind of set on this is because he does have two sets of twins himself that are like of the right age.
Right.
So one of the themes of these, well, this episode, because it's in the prologue and chapter 1, is that time is weird. So no one's really quite sure how often the wolves come, but they do know there's a specific age, you know, that in which the children are taken, right? So if you make it, you know, like out of that age group and without them coming, then you're good. But it seems to happen like once a generation. So that I don't think there's really anyone still running around with their twin. It doesn't seem that way anyway.
Yeah, no.
So whenever the kids get old enough, one of them is taken away, and then, you know, then they're not. One of the issues that Tien has with Wayne Overholser, I think is his name, isn't just that both his kids are singletons, but it's they're both grown.
Right.
So he really has no dog in this fight.
Yep.
We also get introduced briefly to Tien's grandfather. Is it his grandfather? I think it's his grandfather.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, and who has an even stronger accent.
And he is weirdly just like, yippee, they didn't pick me. There's no, like, survivor's guilt or anything.
The grandfather?
Yeah. When he talks about it, he's just like, yep, they took her. Could have been me, but it wasn't. Ha! I was just like, Jesus, dude, okay. Guess you don't give a shit.
And when Tien is laying out his plan, he says, men would go forward from such a meeting as you plan on and burn down half the countryside were they in drink. Men sober, you'll never move such.
Gotta get him drunk on something else, buddy.
Yeah, gotta get him drunk on hope, damn it.
No!
Drunk on hope. So we meet him, and then we meet Overholser, who's like he's a big farmer, right? Like he's big time, and he's one of the ones who is not going for this plan of Tien's here.
Not even a little bit.
No, and who are some? We also have the Manny, who are weird.
This is the first time we've heard of them since the first book, I think.
Yeah.
He mentions them, but we never see them. He just like is thinking about Manny. I think that's how you say the plurals, right? Manny.
Right.
It's like sheep.
Yeah. And so, and their fucking solution to this problem is like straight out of some Jonathan Swift shit.
Oh my god.
Because they're just like, you know what we should really do is just kill all the kids. That sounds like a good idea, right?
Damn, son. That is cold-blooded. That's like, honestly, that's some Kaiser Soze shit. Like, that is, oh, you think you're bad? Oh, really? Let's see how you deal with this. And then you just stand there laughing, surrounded by bodies. And the wolves show up and look at you and pee their pants, probably, literally, and run away. But what have you done except murder your community and then probably broken your own brain so that you're not even like a person anymore?
Yeah. And his response, and like, you know, this dude Benito says like, you're fucking out of your mind. Like, you're out of your mind. And the Manny dude, who I love this description of his voice was calm, but a pulse beat wildly in his forehead, is basically saying like, look, when they come back, they're useless. Wouldn't they be better off dead? And that's when Von Eisenhardt, who's another big farmer in the area, makes the point like, well, they only take one of two. So your plan would have us lose them all.
Yeah, right. Which, I mean, they only take one of two is a shitty argument for why not to do anything. But it's a great argument on why not to murder all of them. So, sure.
Right. Another one of the Manny is like, okay, but if they came and they found that there weren't any children here, they might leave us alone forever. And everybody's like, yeah, but they might not. So, fuck off.
Yeah, like, how are you going to, like they say, just kill all of them for a maybe? Yeah, good plan, buddy. Thanks. So.
Look at what else we have here.
Oh, and then, it was, like, unclear to me until this meeting that the Runts are the ones that get brought back. Because I just thought that there was some weird thing where everybody gives birth to twins and eventually one of the twins goes bad. Like something like in their genetics happens where the egg splits, but only half can really survive in the end as like a full thinking conscious person. And so I thought that it was part of like the mutie thing. But then somebody here says, and then, you know, it's been 24 years and I kept counting even after they brought her back. And that's when I was like, oh my God, they take them away as normal kids and bring them back like this. And they're like 7 feet tall too.
Yeah.
What the fuck do they have them doing? Fucking mining uranium? Like, maybe. I don't even know what you do to make somebody grow to that size. And apparently the TikTok man is about that size, but he doesn't seem like he's dull. He's crazy, but it doesn't feel like that's why. So I'm not sure if that's related or not.
There is a suggestion made of like, why don't we just take the kids and leave? And the answer is like, well, because then the wolves will like burn down our entire town and then come after us and kill us and take them anyway. Mm-hmm. And eventually this dude, Lewis Haycox, speaks up and basically is rather eloquently says, you know, look, there's one thing to consider here. You know, we're not fighters, and the choice is between losing one of our children or losing half our children or losing all of them.
Right.
And if it was possible to fight, I would, but it's not.
Yeah, I mean, they don't even have any kind of weapon. They've got hoes and shovels and, you know. So that's the main thing. And then here comes old fella.
The old fella.
And this guy isn't from their world. That's interesting. I don't know who this guy is.
I do.
And you shut up, you fucker.
Well, no, it's actually, I think it's something I can tell you.
Really?
He's from another Stephen King book.
Oh, okay.
He's from actually one of my favorite Stephen King books, which is a book called Salem's Lot.
Oh, I saw somebody talking about that and it being amazing the other day. And didn't that win a bunch of awards? I got to put that on my list.
I'm not sure. It's a great book. Like non-Tower edition, it's my favorite Stephen King novel.
Okay.
But yeah, this dude, Per Callahan, or Father Callahan, as he's known in that book, is a character in Salem's Lot.
All right.
And that is all I'm going to say.
So yeah, he comes out and basically everybody's trying to like kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? They're trying to equivocate, and he gets up and is like, you guys are all a bunch of fucking cowards. Somebody tries to talk and says like, well, you don't have the feather. And he's like, fuck your fucking feather.
I love it. So
I mean, damn.
A lot of really eloquent voices stand up and be like, Tien, this is a terrible idea. And he gives it right back. Like, he really gives like some great speeches. Mm-hmm. And he wins, you know, over, I think, some people. And then this dude, George Telford, stands up. Mm-hmm. Another rancher who seems to be kind of in cahoots with Eisenhart and Overholser. And he's got a
silver tongue.
Yeah, he's sly, this guy. And he does really well and kind of swings things the other way until Callahan is like, motherfucker, give me that give your fucking feather. I'm going to talk. Damn it. And what he says is, this is chicken shit.
I love that they're like, you know, it was a bit of a colloquialism, but nobody needed it explained to them.
Right.
Yeah, you think?
So it seems like
he suggests that they buy somebody to do this for them. And everybody's like, what are you even talking about? And he says, well, you know, there's some gunslingers coming, which basically they all flip the fuck out.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, you know, it's like somebody is like, well, you know, we have some Martians headed our way. And what? Wait, this isn't, it's been hundreds of years. What are you talking about? They're like flat out calling him a liar. He says, it's Andy who told me, so I don't know what to tell you. You know as well as I do that his information is like never wrong. And they're supposedly really close by. So if you really don't think that that's true, we can go check on that very easily right now.
One of my favorite things about this is that it seems like Callahan has like a little church in town with like some followers. And when he says the Calla is in dire danger, your souls are in danger. And someone else is like, Hail Mary, full of grace, Lord is with thee, blessed is the fruit of thy womb. Bag it, Callahan snaps. Save it for Sunday.
I love that so much. Time and place, all right, buddy? Jesus.
Yeah. So, so he basically convinces them to go check it out. Mm-hmm. And, you know, gunslingers to the west come out of Midworld, and it was true, God help them. Arthur Eld's last deadly children, moving toward Calibran Sturgis along the path of the beam, caw like a wind. And, Per Callahan tells them it's time to be men. Men, damn it.
Dun, dun, dun.
Stand up, gentlemen. Time to stand and be true. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how we start things off. And then, with the first chapter, we are back with our merry band of companions.
Hooray!
Following their little encounter with some Wizard of Oz themed shit.
Mm-hmm.
And this dude named Flag. And they apparently, like, woke up in a clearing, like, a ways away from, like, on the other side of the city.
Yeah.
So
they basically recap everything that happened in the last half of the last book.
Right.
I
mean, yeah, pretty much.
And
I think they recapped the whole last book.
Yeah, I guess they kind of do.
Which makes sense, because this was the one, like, there was a huge gap between the publications of this one and the last one.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I always find it... I get why. It's just, like, I always find it strange, because I just don't see that you don't reread the previous book before reading this again. But
previously on the Dark Tower.
It's probably not something you should assume. But
yeah,
I do.
I mean, TV shows do it, and it's pretty much guaranteed their audience is coming from the last episode. So, yeah.
But yeah, Eddie has this sort of weird vibe where he feels like time has stopped, and they keep like going through the motions and crossing the same like boring fields, as he puts it, and telling each other stories, but things don't feel like they're moving ahead. And it goes on for like a couple of weeks like that.
Yeah. The only like weird thing that's been happening this whole time is that everything seems to be coming up 19.
Yes, that's right. And I was just like, I don't even know what to think of this, because 19 is just such a not significant number in anything else that I've seen, that it feels really... I don't like it. It's not an even number. It's not
a prime number.
Yeah, but that's awful. I hate it. Like, there's no balance to it. There's no feeling of roundness to it. Like, it's just a strange, ungainly number, and I don't like it, and it bothers me.
So this is a thing that that starts happening in this book. You know, like, we haven't really seen much of 19, you know, the number 19, like, getting involved in any way in the previous books, except for, if you recall, way back when we were reading The Gunslinger, and there's the bit where Walter, the Man in Black, comes to Tull, like before Roland kills everybody in Tull. They talk about how Walter was there and talked to Allie? Was that her name? I think it was Allie.
Yeah, I think so.
And do you remember that in my copy of the book, which was older, it was just kind of a standard encounter. In your copy of the book, he left her like a note, and it was like, there is a number that you have to remember, and the number is 19, and it's going to drive you insane.
Oh, I forgot about that.
You remember that?
How weird.
That was one of the things they went back and put into The Gunslinger.
That's messed up.
Yeah. So I have to, at this point, I have to share a story with you.
Okay.
And I've been waiting to share this story because I knew that the 19 thing was going to happen in this chapter. So I have to tell you about this, okay?
Okay.
You know my creepy story about the haunted Pizza Hut?
Yes.
Right? So this isn't quite that bad. So the night of our wedding, Sharon and I, we got married, in case you hadn't heard. And a couple of my groomsmen come up to me and they're like, so what are you guys doing? You going to a hotel or something? And I was like, no, we can't really afford it. We're just going home. And they kind of like put their heads together for a second and they're like, you know, we didn't get you guys anything, so we're going to chip in to get you guys a hotel for tonight. And I was like, dude, that's really sweet of you guys. Thank you. And they got us a room in like this really nice, like one of the nicest hotels in Tucson. Right.
Nice.
And, you know, it was after the party. Some people had stuck around and they were like, you know, hey, do you guys want to like, you know, hang out a little bit at the hotel? And a couple of people were like, yeah, sure. So, we had to run home and drop off some stuff and pick up some stuff because we hadn't planned on spending the night away from home and stuff like that. So we're on our way to the hotel, and my friend Zach, who was shit-faced, it should be noted, just totally three sheets to the wind. He and another friend had gotten to the hotel, and he calls me, and he's like, "Dude, this is weird. This is a weird fucking hotel, man. Like, this is some Stephen King shit.
Oh
Like,
my God.
why'd you bring me to fucking Stephen King hotel? It's weird." And I'm like, "Dude, motherfucker, whatever. You're drunk. Shut up. We'll be there in a few minutes."
Okay.
We get there, and like there's like it's late, but there's nothing really weird about the hotel. There's nobody around. There's a couple of people like manning the desk, and it's not active, but it's like midnight, you know. And so we hang out for a few minutes, and then they bail, and so we go up to our room. So the first thing that happens is we go to the elevator, right? And the elevator opens, and this couple walks out. We get in the elevator. The elevator door closes. We go up one floor. The elevator doors open. We walk out, and walking toward us is the same fucking couple.
Okay.
And we had gone to the fourth floor. Now, it turns out that the lobby of this hotel is on the third floor. So, like, not as weird as I initially thought it was. But I'm thinking, yo, we just went to the fourth floor.
Oh, man.
And the same couple just walked toward us.
That's so funny.
And
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, that's weird. We get to the room number, and our room number was 4384. And, you know, just for no real reason, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if those numbers added up to 19?
Did they? Do they?
They totally do. They totally do.
Weird.
And I was like, wait, what the fuck? Okay, you know what?
It's
fine. It's fine, okay? So then we go into the room and we look at the bed, and I'm about to text you, Natasha, a picture of what one of the pillows looked like. Okay? Here we go. I'm texting it to you now.
Have 19 drawn in blood.
It's not that bad. But if you remember the stuff from the last book, like the Sigil of the Crimson King, right? All right, hold on. I'm waiting for it to send here. But, yeah, okay.
Right. You have a fucking Android. It's going to be next week before I get this photo.
Well, it says it was sent, but, I don't know, you might not get it for a minute. Anyway, to avoid, like, being completely boring, on this pillow is a pattern that looks like a fucking yellow eye with a red pupil.
What? Why would you even have pillows that look like that?
You see the picture?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I think you're stretching this a little bit. That does not look like an eye to me. I wouldn't think of that until you told me.
What?
Yeah.
You're out of your mind.
That just looks like one of those, kind of rug patterns.
Well, whatever. It looks like a fucking eye. It looks like a yellow eye with a red pupil. It definitely looked like it to me when I had just fucking encountered the number 19 in the Stephen King hotel, as my friend had put it.
I love that you got so spooked that this is what started to happen in your brain.
I was freaking out, man. Like, Sharon was like, what is wrong with you? Like, you keep looking around the corner and, like, over your shoulder.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh, it was great. It was great. We survived the night. It's fine.
Survived the night with this vaguely eyeball-shaped, not really pillow in my room.
You know what?
Listen, that's gonna be my image for this episode. Is that pillow?
Do it
for the post, and everybody's gonna
fucking
be like,
"No,
Miles."
Tell me that shit. It looks like a fucking eye. Anyway, that's my story about that I can tell you now that the 19 thing has happened.
Okay, so they're telling stories, and at one point Jake is telling Roland the story of Hansel and Gretel. And he gets a little weirded out by the way that Roland listens to the stories, and Susanna's like, oh yeah, it's because he's like an anthropologist. This is not a little kid listening to a story. This is him trying to like divine something about a society and their beliefs based on the story. And there's an interesting moment where he's like, Such stories are called fairy tales. There were no fairies in this one, though. No, Eddie agreed. That's more like a category name than anything else. In our world, you get mystery and suspense stories, your science fiction stories, your westerns, your fairy tales. Get it? Yes. Do people in your world always want only one story flavor at a time? Only one taste in their mouths? I guess that's close enough, Susanna said. Does no one eat stew? Roland asked. Sometimes at supper, I guess, Eddie said. But when it comes to entertainment, we do tend to stick with one flavor at a time and don't let any one thing touch another on our plate. Although it sounds kind of boring when you put it that way. Oh, Steven.
You see what I'm doing?
You're doing.
You see what I'm doing?
Stevie, calm down. People like you. It's okay.
No need to deflect criticism quite this early on in the book, dude.
It's just fine. Like, people have been yelling at me for 6 years. So yeah, that kind of made me lol.
Yeah, so, and Roland is like, how many of these fairy tales would you say there are? Which strikes me as a stupid fucking question. It's like, I don't know, there's a bunch. But they're all like 19, and they laugh because it's funny.
And I'm like, it's not funny. You guys are lame. So they're eating, and Jake is gone. And he comes back with these armful of what turn out to be ground berries, as Roland puts them. But they smell like fresh baked bread. And Roland calls them muffin balls.
We should probably mention that Roland straight up says at one point here that Jake has the touch.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Like, not.
I don't think that happens yet, though. It comes up later. Yeah, it
does. It's right before the muffin balls.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right, because it's right at the top of this page. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Right.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm not sure if it's as strong as my friend Alen had it, but you've got the touch for sure.
And it has horns on it, and he takes them off and then just bites into it. And he says they're wonderful. Don't want to eat the horns. They're not poison, but they're sour. We can fry them if there's a little deer fat left. That way they taste almost like meat. Sounds like a good idea, Eddie said. Knock yourself out. As for me, I think I'll skip the mushroom muff divers or whatever they are. But later on, they smell so amazing that even Eddie's like, all right, Jesus. And then he was like, oh, God, give me more of these, please. Thank you.
I love how Roland is like, no, you should all really eat them. They're super delicious. And then after they're eating them, he's like, oh, by the way, they're also drugged.
They're going to make you high.
You're going to have some trippy-ass dreams, man.
Right. And Jake here is like, oh, and BT dubs, there were definitely dudes watching me pick these, and they're around us right now watching. And Roland's like, yeah, they've been here. Haha. So that was kind of underwhelming because, you know, I thought Jake having the touch would mean that he knew something nobody else did, but apparently he knows something that Roland has known for like 2 days.
Right.
So that's not super helpful. But yeah, he is worried about what if they're like TikToks, Katet, Gasher, and Hoots and those guys. They're not. How do you know? Because they would have set on us already and they'd be fly food. Which is a weird way to say that, but sure. And I love that they go and get more of the muffin balls, and Susanna says, look it over your left, sugar. He did, and saw a distant orange blink. A fire. Not very good, are they? He asked. No, truth is I feel a little sorry for him. Oh man, that's rough.
Yeah. And then Eddie notices that time has started up again. Mm-hmm. And he definitely gets a feeling, like, as they're eating the muffin balls and getting ready to go to sleep, that, like, Roland knows that this period of, like, quiet is over, and that shit is happening again.
And when Roland tells them that this is going to give them odd dreams, he says, there are mushrooms that do what you're thinking of, change consciousness, heighten it, but not muffin balls. These are berries, just good to eat. If your dreams are particularly vivid, just remind yourself you are dreaming. Which they very quickly forget. Because as soon as Eddie falls asleep, he's like, oh, I am back in New York, and this is not a dream. This is happening. Thanks, Eddie, for taking that to heart. He was in New York on 2nd Avenue. That was when Jake and Oi came around the corner from 54th Street. Hey, Eddie, Jake said, grinning. Welcome home. Game on, Eddie thought. Game on.
Game on.
Well, shit. Okay. I guess.
Yeah, that's happening.
I'm just wondering how long this will last. You know, how strong were them muffin balls? How hilarious is it that they're called muffin balls?
Muffin balls.
Do you know the muffin balls? The muffin balls.
I have known the muffin ball too well in my time.
So I just want to say hi to new patrons real quick. We have
hi guys.
Vanessa Marino, Ariel Elaine Feek, Emily Daniel, Sarah Sanders, Simone Solar, Andrew Nguyen, Amy Lucas, Katie Hansen, Nikki Caro, Karen J. Horlocker, Natalia Shabashova, Rachel Barsness, Adam Ashraf, Yama Castillo, Robin, Bill Stokes, Megan George, Julie Thompson, Samuel Burrell, Deandra, A.F. Tanith, Tanfazi, Renee Pope Monroe. All of them signed up within the past 2 weeks. Thank you so much to all of you. You guys got me to my goal, which was 429 patrons. I'm at 432, I think, right now, which means that I will be covering The Godfather, which I've never seen.
Really?
Yep. I'm trying to convince Rashawn to cover it with me because she loves that movie. She is trying to convince me not to watch the third one, to just cover the first two. Which it seems most people agree that the third one is not worth my time to cover.
I mean, it's part of the story. I don't know.
I'm just reporting what has been said.
Sure.
Just, you know.
I'm not particularly fond of any of them, so I can't really comment.
Krista said, I believe, the third one we just pretend never happened. It should have been straight to DVD, if at all.
Like fucking Bambi 2 or something.
Return of Jafar. So yeah, that's what's going to be happening probably in July, I'm going to guess. I will figure out a way to, because my goal was to marathon the movies and do that on camera, like on a live stream in the patron group, so that people could come and hang out with me all day while I, drink and eat popcorn and watch Godfather for 5 hours, and then record the podcast at the end of the day. So it would probably be easier for me if I didn't do the third one, just because I'm going to marathon them. And apparently the third one's like 3.5 fucking hours long.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you're a patron and you have thoughts on this, let me know. But I'm really excited to have met that goal. So that's pretty cool. And I know that there was another thing. I feel like it niggling in the back of my head. Like, you're forgetting me. But I'm sorry. I can't remember what it was. But y'all know where to find me. Facebook.com/unspoiledpod, Twitter @unspoiledshow, Instagram @unspoiledpodcast. I'm on Instagram @theglamourjunkie and on Twitter @NatashaWriting. And you can support the show by leaving a review. And I actually didn't check to see if we had any new reviews, but I'll do that right now.
Yacht to.
What's that?
I said yacht to.
Yacht to.
Yacht to.
I thought you were saying yeah, too. Like, we have 2 new reviews.
No.
But yeah, leave a review on iTunes. I know what I wanted to say. I'm really excited because the Harry Potter episode, or the Harry Potter show, got talked about on a Bustle Top 11 Harry Potter podcast list.
It's fucking badass.
So that's pretty cool. It's a very short write-up. It's kind of like, one of those listicles. But that was really exciting. So, and the reason that it got noticed, you know why? Because of so many reviews. That's what does it. I get popped up in the results when there are that many reviews. And right now, Harry Potter's at 272. So it matters. It makes a big difference if people leave reviews. So, if you're somebody who appreciates what we do, who you find yourself every week being like, I want another episode. Where are they? I need another episode. Do me a favor. It doesn't cost you anything except like 2 minutes of effort. Go to iTunes, leave a review. Be a buddy. Be a good person. And we do have 2 new reviews. That's creepy. So you were kind of right.
Really?
5 stars by Gendry Baratheon Ethos from the United States.
Dude, are your arms like huge by now or what?
It says 4 stars almost. Good coverage and likable hosts. Only complaint is too many tangents about personal matters, not enough Dark Tower. Otherwise, pretty good.
Yeah, well, welcome to the show, buddy.
Right? I'm like, that's kind of our jam. And 5 stars, great podcast by Reverend Godless from the United States. Great podcast. I'm reading the series for the first time, and it's great to hear what they think of as I go alone. Also, when you guys made fun of Jack Mort's name as being lame, Mort means death in French. Stephen King is sneaky. I know it means death, but that's what's so lame, right? Like,
here's my question. Here's my question. You know what a better name for him would have been? Jack Char.
How about just Jack Death? How about Jack Skull? Let's just call him Jack Skullington.
How about Charlie Mort?
Charmort.
You know his name means death. The deathiest death of all.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like there comes a point where using the word mort, like, it's hard to get away with anymore because it's just it's hard to get away with anymore. Blah.
I mean, like, look, if you're Terry Pratchett and you're writing a book called Mort, and the main character's name is Mort because he's Death's apprentice, that's one thing.
That is a very specific example, but okay, I will allow it.
Yeah. It's a great book, by the way.
Do you have anything you would like to plug, sir? Thank you both, by the way, for your reviews. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. As always, check out the Smash Fiction podcast. I've been away for a little while, so right now, if you listen to the last couple episodes of the show, and I think the next episode as well, there will be none of me. So that may be a hindrance for you, or it may be quite the opposite. At any rate, you can listen to the Smash Fiction podcast by going to smashfiction.libsyn.com or searching for Smash Fiction on iTunes. It's a show where we take fictional characters and put them against one another into some kind of conflicting scenario and have hilarious arguments about who would win. So we've had some fun stuff since last I was around to plug. The new episode is Master Splinter versus General Iroh, who I think is from Avatar.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know either of them.
Well, Splinter from Ninja Turtles, dude.
Oh.
Fucking rad.
Master Splinter. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought Master was like an actual name until you broke it down for me.
That's like a match of see who can be the best martial arts teacher. We did the Plastics from Mean Girls against the Christian Jules from Saved. Oh god. Which is a really fun match.
Saved. I need to see that.
Oh, Saved is great. And we did a good one, a Disney villains match, Hades, Jafar, Ursula, and Dr. Facilier. And that was the last one that I was on. We've had some really cool guest hosts, too, recently. If anyone listens to The Math of You, we had Lucas Brown on this most recent episode. And we're going to have Hub from the Tighten Up the Defense podcast for next week's episode, which is going to be a lot of fun. And that's going to be Aquaman versus Namor, I think. So...
Aquaman versus who's Namor?
Namor, the Submariner, is the prince, the king of Atlantis in the Marvel universe.
Okay. Oh, wait. I think I vaguely remember that coming up when we were doing either
Civil
it was
War.
one of the extra things or... Oh, Civil War. Okay, that's
probably Civil War.
That's right.
But yeah, so that's coming up next Sunday. With Sundays, every episode gets released. So yeah, check out the Smash Fiction podcast. It's on Twitter at SmashFic Podcast. I'm on Twitter at MJ Schneiderman if you want to talk directly at me. And if you listen to the show and like the show, then please leave us a review for all the reasons that Natasha just finished explaining. Reviews are very handy. You can also check out my horribly not updated website, Universes of the Mind, which is at universesofthemind.com, I swear to God, I'm going to be writing more shit for it soon. The Heinlein stuff is coming. It's like already half written. It's just that I haven't had the time to finish it and post it. So yeah, that's coming up. That'll be happening soon. Then of course, and I think I did plug this last time as something that was going to be coming out, but just to do it one more time, if you're interested in just kind of cool storytelling, check out the Odyssey Storytelling Podcast, which is something that I kind of host and edit and do all the audio work for, at least in terms of like, the post-production and the recording process. And it's a lot of fun. It's something that I've been doing for a few months now because we record it here in Tucson. It's a bunch of people telling stories that's like based on a theme. So, we had themes have been like labor and left and mission. The mission episode is actually going to be coming out as we record this in just a couple of days here, this Thursday, because we're also doing like an archive podcast. So it's going to be the Odyssey Storytelling Archives.
Oh, cool. Where
we post old shows, because the main Odyssey Storytelling Podcast is going to be the most recent live show. But the archive podcast is going to be old shows, and I believe we're going with the mission episode, which should be coming out this Thursday. So, it's a lot of fun if you're a Tucson resident and you can kind of like, you come down to see the live event and maybe people in the crowd and everything, because it's a very local, community thing. But they're also really good stories, and it's a lot of fun to hear these really interesting people, and they're just like everyday people, right? But they have stories for you. And as I think I said last time, the first episode of the main podcast, the theme is only in Tucson. So it's like, if you're not in Tucson, it might be a little bit less accessible for you. But as we go on, I think the next theme is going to be awkward. So, you want to fucking hear people talking about their most awkward moments. Like, and I know you do. I know you people. I know all of you. You're into that Schadenfreude. Yeah, you live for that shit. Anyway, you can check out the Odyssey Storytelling Podcast, also on iTunes. And if you want to leave that show review, that'd be super helpful. I'm kind of proud of it, so check that out.
Awesome.
And then in terms of next week, I'm looking at these chapters here, and it's a little much, but I kind of feel like we should do the next two. I think we should do New York Groove, and is the fourth one or the third chapter called Mia? I think it is. It's Mia. So, like, combined, they're about 50 pages, which is a little much, but the first chapter is less than 30, and I think they go really well together as well.
Okay.
So I say we read New York Groove and Mia for next week.
Okay. And I will know to start reading early so that I get it done.
Yes.
All right, cool. Well, thank you, sir, for joining me today, and congratulations again on being a husband.
So I'm a husband. Thank you. It's crazy.
Ball and chain. Shut your doors like you shut your mouth. Yeah,
she's wonderful. She's wonderful. I love her.
Aww.
Yeah.
No, I was really talking about you being the ball and chain and shutting your mouth. But,
yeah. I mean, I didn't think anyone needed that explained, Natasha.
I love that the guy who's like, I'm doing too many podcasts is like, oh yeah, I know when to shut up. You fucking liar. No, you don't. You never have and you never will. It's okay. We will start a support group. And nobody will be able to get a word in edgewise, and it'll be super annoying.
Oh, I think that's the best ending for this episode I could have possibly hoped for.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. And we will see you next week with 2 more chapters. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
was an Unspoiled Network podcast.